Welcome to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today in my swing studio. Today's video is going to be how we should be extending into impact, how using the ground correctly is going to help you generate more speed and strike the ball better. Now I'm going to be doing this with an iron, but this will relate to any golf swing that you're making, any full swing that you're making. So I think the word extend or extension is a real worry for golfers because they've heard a lot about early extension. And I've done a number of videos on early extension, and it is a real killer in a lot of golf swings. So an early extension part would be on the downswing, our body is actually straightening. Generally our hips are moving towards the golf ball. Often the compensation is our head coming away from the golf ball. And we see all sorts of faults from there. Of course, strike can be very difficult, but it can cause very overactive hands because our body is working very inefficiently. It can also cause a real loss of speed, loss of power. There's a number of faults, a number of things that early extension can cause, but what I'm going to be talking about today is the extension we should be getting and at what point we should be getting it. Because what we really should be doing on the downswing in our transition, so if I'm in the top of my backswing here, as I start my downswing, I want to be applying force. Ground force reaction, I want to be pushing down. So the pressure is actually through my trail foot at the top of the backswing. I'm gradually increasing the amount of pressure I move from my trail foot to my lead foot, but I'm definitely feeling like that pressure is moving down in towards the ground. And as we do that, we quite often see a little settle stage, almost like a slight squat, where you may even see just a little loss of height. With a lot of tour players, their spine angle as they get this move is going this way. So the average on tour is a 45-degree spine angle at setup, and they're actually moving towards 35 as they strike the golf ball. Whereas, of course, a lot of golfers who are early extending are going from 45 to maybe 75. They're actually straightening too early. So there is a little loss of height here as we feel like we're pushing into the ground. Now, the concern I think most amateur golfers have from there is they feel like they're going to catch it heavy. And they absolutely will unless they get the next part correct. So there is some force being applied down into the ground, down into our lead side, and our body is actually now straightening, extending into impact. And the area I feel like is really extending is my lead leg. So my left leg is actually starting to straighten. What I don't want to see at impact is still a flexed lead knee. So I don't want this leg flexed or bent. I actually want to start to see it straightening or straightened. You know, Tiger Woods famously, I guess, knackered out his left knee, his lead knee, from really trying to extend that. I mean, that was a lot of golf balls being hit, a lot of time in the gym, and 130 mile an hour clubhead speed. So don't let that put you off. This lead leg should be straightening, it should be extending into impact. What difference does that make? Well, if I just grab a tour stick, one, I can generate more speed because I'm using the ground correctly. If you were going to jump, you would push down before you jump up. Okay, it's much harder to jump without starting like from a squatting movement first. So you'd push down before you jump up in any movement that we see. So there's power to be created there. But if I kept my lead knee flexed and I just try and rotate my hips, I can get them a little open. But if I can now actually start to straighten my lead leg, I can create a lot more hip rotation. So it allows my body to rotate, to open up, which is what we really want to see. So with the elite golfers, we know at impact they get their shoulders 20 to 30 degrees open, and we know we get their hips more than that. So I think the average is pretty close to around 45 degrees, but we see some power hitters more open than that still. With so many amateur golfers, we see pretty zeroed straight in, and I tend to see still a lot of flex in this knee, which is going to cause some missed strikes. So what you could do, it's easier off turf, definitely, but I'm in my studio here as it's still a bit of a bleak, cold winter at the minute. So I'm just going to do what you guys could do on the driving range, just putting a tour stick through a range bucket, head cover on the top, just to soften the blow, I guess, because it's a little tall, this tour stick. If you could push it into the ground, I'd push it a little bit further so it's up to about your hip or your kidney. This one goes a little higher. But all you're really going to do with this is just have that bucket on the outside edge of your lead shoe, so there's a little gap between your lead hip and the cane, or the head cover in this case. I may have to move this back a little bit. But if I get set up here, what I'm trying to do, I've got this little gap here. I don't want to knock it because I've still got flex in this and I'm sliding towards the target. I want to feel like there's a squat and I've maintained width between my knees, and now I'm pushing off the floor and my lead leg is extending, it's straightening, and now I don't hit this head cover or this tour stick here on the way through. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit a little one doing this. Great exercise, great way of practicing it is just do it as a small movement first. So top of the backswing, pre-impact down to last parallel, little pump move, 1, 2, 3. And I just feel like I extend. So that felt like I'm actually pushing off the floor. My lead leg was straightening, extending. I didn't hit the tour stick. I think I bumped the head cover with my elbow. It felt like I was hitting up on the golf ball, yet I was actually hitting down on it by 4 degrees. So that's a key part, is we are not trying to hit down, 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 down. The club is still traveling downwards, but remember from last parallel here, actually our handle of the golf club is starting to move up. My hips are starting to move up and clear to the left. So I really like this exercise. Let me do one without it, and then one full shot just to finish off with. So top of the backswing, pre-impact, 1, 2, 3, and extend. A little heavy. Probably didn't help that I was trying to talk while hit. I obviously can't multitask. If I'm catching it heavy, then I actually want to be trying to extend a little bit more. Let's hit one more of those. Here. There we go. Okay. Don't worry about the shape. Don't worry about the direction to start with. Nice clean contact. Really got that feeling of starting to extend and clear those hips. Once you've done that as some small swings, you could then just put that into a full movement. So I'm just going to go ahead and try and hit a full shot, and just really trying to get that feeling that my lead side is extending and rotating open into impact. It's a big power source if we can do it correctly. It's got a chance of hitting the line, pretty straight, good distance, good strikes. That's a 7-iron that's flying sort of 170, 89 miles an hour, hit down on it by 5.8 degrees, yet it really felt like I was straightening and extending into impact. I know if you can give that exercise a go on the practice area or the driving range, it's really going to help your impact and that feeling of when the lead leg should be straightening, should be extending. If you did enjoy the content of that video, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel as well. It's the best way to stay in touch and show your support for the channel. Thanks guys, we'll see you soon.